Well, welcome. My name's John, and we're going to talk about the dedicated trenching equipment, Toro versus competitive products. How many of you guys have run the Toro dedicated trenchers? So we've got one. All right. So it'll be a repeat, and you can help reinforce if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying. But it's because this isn't a sales pitch as much as it's just state the facts, and it's very easy to see the differences between the machines. We do have one competitive unit here. We've got a Vermeer down at the end. The main players in the market for with dedicated trenchers are going to be Toro, Ditch Witch, Vermeer, and Barretto. Those are the main four brands that you're going to see out in the market. Ditch Witch has changed their control functions and layout to try to match the Toro design. When Toro came out with their units, dedicated trenchers with the T-bar drive system and tracks, and we only offer track units, the market is shifting. Everybody else is trying to catch up to those features. So the main thing with the Toro products to remember is it's a two-track system with no bogey wheel or gauge wheel out front. So it's the most maneuverable, easy to maneuver. And then it has the T-bar drive system, which you're going to get to a point where it's one-hand control for forward and reverse and steering. So then your other hand is available for your attachment, for running the trencher. And on the TRXs, the controls are very simple. You've got a throttle, a choke. This is your engagement of your hydraulic flow for your chain. So this is positive digging with your chain. You can reverse your chain by just bringing it back this way. So it's forward and reverse with your chain control. So if you're trenching and you get hung up on a root or a rock or whatever else, you can try to kick it loose this way without changing your direction of travel or your depth of your boom. And then this control raises and lowers your boom. So once you get into a trench and you get it set to the depth you like, you're essentially onto one-hand control, because you can spin your chain and bring your traction in line with the speed you can run at. It's and I say can because when you're actually trenching, you're going to be listening to your engine RPM, and you're going to be squeezing harder and going faster when the engine says, I'm not working too hard. When the engine starts to lug down, all you need to do is back off with your fingers just this much. Slows your traction unit down, lets the engine catch up, and you just keep moving. Then you can squeeze harder again and go. So the learning curve to operate this machine is less than a minute for a first rental person, versus we'll walk over and look at the Vermeer and the number of controls that are going on, and you have to always remember there's a dead man switch on your left hand. If your chain is moving, you can't let go with your left hand or it kills the engine. But then when the chain starts to lug down, if something starts to work hard on the machine or hang up, first thing you want to do is let go with your left hand and grab at a control, and you kill the engine. So Toro manufactures three versions or three sizes of the dedicated trencher. We've got a 26 horse on the end, the TRX 26. We have a TRX 20, so it's 20 horse, and then we also have a 16, TRX 16. So in ordering a machine, you're going to order either the 16, the 20, or the 26. And there's no other options, concerns on the traction unit itself.
Maximum chain length on a 16 is what, 24?
Well, you can order a 48-inch boom up to an 8-inch wide chain to go onto the 16.
You're shitting.
Nope, it'll take it. It's all universal. So we have 24-inch, 36-inch, and 48-inch booms. And that measurement is actual digging depth. We're measuring from here out. So the actual digging depth is what those numbers correspond to. So some of our competitors say they've got a 30-inch boom. Well, that's the actual length of the boom. It's not what their digging depth is.
Is the 20 pretty much the staple of the line? I mean, as far as this particular size? I mean,
the 24. I'm sorry. What?
The TRX 20 is which size machine dominates the purchasing side? I mean,
it's either the 20 or the 26. The 16 is probably the least ordered of the SKUs. And part of that is just because you want the added horsepower. It gets you into all digging conditions better with a little more horsepower. Yep, absolutely. So then once you've decided which horsepower unit the customer is going to want, then it's boom length. Is it a 24, 36, or 48-inch boom length? And then you have an option of 4-inch, 6-inch, or 8-inch chains. So you match the chain to the boom, but then that chain can either be a dedicated soil chain, like is on the 4-foot boom over here on the 26 horse. This is a combo chain, so it has both dirt teeth and rock teeth, or you can do a straight rock tooth. So that's what you have to remember, is the length of the chain, the width of the chain, and what type of teeth. And the teeth are interchangeable. They can change them out, but most places, depending on applications, will order multiple chains if they need to change between a rock tooth and a combination or a soil chain. It's easier to change a chain than to change teeth.
Combo chain most popular?
Yep, by far. Yep, combo chain. 36-inch boom with a combo chain is going to be the most common. These units both have a crummer attachment on them, and that's actually every trenching head comes with this the protective mast out here, but then bolting on right here going forward is the crummer. So you see a long arm crummer on the other unit. That does not have a spring-loaded head on it. This is the spring, the crummer with the spring actuator on it. Main difference between the two is that there's positive pressure with the chain to force the crumb head down onto the bottom of your trench. If you're running a shallow angle with your boom, that the spring-loaded crummer will clean out the bottom of a shallow angle trench better than the non-spring-loaded. If you're always going to be digging at your most vertical setting, then it doesn't matter which crummer you have on. And the cost difference between the two is pretty minimal. So I'd recommend the spring-loaded in the rental application. Chain tensioning on Toros, very simple. You've got a jam nut and the come along the traveling bolt. You want to have, when your boom is horizontal, you want to have about 2 inches or 2 fingers of clearance between, so that chain's a nice tension on it. There is a grease zerk on the back side of that, right through on the other side of this opening here. There's a grease zerk just to help the boom travel in there. We also have a recessed zerk and a greasable bearing out on your forward sprocket, which is very nice. It's adverse working conditions, it's dirty. Keep them greased, they're going to work better. Then you only have a couple more grease zerks on this. You've got one here, so it's the main pivot points of your boom actuators. Other than that, it's all sealed bearings, so maintenance is minimal.
What's your preferred chain tension? I mean, I noticed that, and I'm only asking because
if you can stick 2 fingers underneath the boom, between the boom and the chain, when the boom is horizontal, that's a good tension.
Okay.
You don't want them too tight and you don't want them too loose, okay. But about 2 fingers inside there is a good rule of thumb. Looking at, in the Vermeer's kind of far over here, if we want to shift over we can, but one of the things I want you to notice when you're behind the 2 machines is your sight lines and your center of gravity. The Toro engines, the Toro units, the engines are recessed back in, Your hydraulic pumps for drive are in line with this pulley axle, so they're down below this plate, so serviceability is right below the plate, easy to get at. Here, actually this is loose enough, I can pop this off. You guys can take a look down in there. It's the hydraulic reservoir is integral in the frame, so it's a wet frame unit. All of those things add up to a very low center of gravity. This machine is extremely stable on hillside, hillside use, as well as just transporting up and down off of trailer ramps. Everything else, that's one of the easiest way to sell these is just have the rental house try this, loading it on and off of trailers a couple times versus the competitive units. Say, now which one do you want your customers using? Much safer in that respect. So,
hydraulic tank, John?
Pardon?
How many gallons in the hydraulic tank?
I want to say we're about 9 gallons in this. 8.4 is sticking in my mind, but I think it's a 9-gallon tank.
Okay.
And it varies. I'm sorry, it does not vary between the different size engines. It's the frame itself is a standard.
Yeah, the platform is the same on all three models.
Exactly. Thank you. Well put.
The cooler's standard on all of them?
Hydraulic cooler standard on all of them now. And that's another key set apart. It's especially our 16 horse has a hydraulic cooler. Competitive units in their smaller horsepowers don't have coolers. Right. The Vermeer over here does not have a cooler on it. Right. So, if you look at where the auger for your spoils, where it's mounted or how it's located, the Toro auger is attached to the actual boom. So when you raise your boom, you're raising your auger. The Berettos are not attached to, I mean, they're back behind that pivot point. And I believe the Vermeer is the same way. So when you're raising and lowering your boom, you're not, to go on a trailer, you haven't added any clearance. Your auger is still down low to the ground. So if you're going over a curb, you can hit your auger if you're going up and down off of trailers. On the Toros, it raises it, it gives you better clearance. Let's see, what else? The two previous groups have asked about engines. Toro's loading all 3 machines with Kawasaki's. There isn't an engine option, it's just the Kawasaki right now. And the main reason is matching horsepower requirements to engine designs. And Kawasaki makes the best vertical shaft engine to match the horsepowers that we need. And vertical shaft is critical also because you look at the Vermeer unit, they've got a horizontal shaft on their machine. So their pumps, if you look underneath the control sector through the side screen, their pumps and everything are stacked up high back behind the engine. That's the problem with the vertical shaft, or with the horizontal shaft. The vertical shaft lets you drop everything down low. There's one hydraulic pump belt down below, and you can see it back in through here if you talk. It is a yes, yep, that is. And one of the engineers was here with a previous group, and he said that we've got machines that have been running. They've got 300 hours. They're running out on this site, this location, and they're replacing a belt maybe once every 2 years to every 3 years of use. So it's a long life belt.
Got it.
Traction drive, the actual tracks on the unit. If you look at the Toro, it's a triangular shaped track, and the drive pulley is the top pulley. And if you look at that pulley, it is actually an open sprocket pulley, and the track itself has the lugs that run inside that pulley. So the track is lugged and the pulley is smooth. And there's tapering on the design of the pulley and on the lugs themselves that help clear the chain, or clear the drive track. So if you get debris in there, it's a better cleaning process. and it's a lower cost to maintain. These tracks, they're Kevlar belted track, and when you wear a track out, you can order just the track and replace it. If we look at the Vermeer unit, it has a slotted track with a sprocket drive, and when we walk over by that unit, you'll see that the teeth of the sprocket actually stick through the belt, and rental houses are going to run those tracks until they're done, until they're worn out. Well, towards the end, those teeth on those sprockets are hitting your hard surface and leaving marks scoring on asphalt or concrete. Then how much damage have you done to that sprocket? And when it comes time to replace tracks, you're replacing the sprockets as well as the tracks, added cost. Let's see. Competitors will tell you, or will sell against us, saying that we don't have the gauge wheel or the front running wheel out front, and that'll make those units less stable. We'll want to rock or tip in trenching. It's between the low center of gravity and the balance points of the machine. All I can say is run it. You'll find it's actually the most stable of the machines on the market. That Vermeer, you try to get it in the ground and it's bucking all over the place, and these just dig in and go. It's so it's simple to maneuver, simple to learn the operations. So for the rental market, these, once they've had a couple, well, one of the gentlemen had pointed out that you take it to a rental house and say, who's your largest customer for renting trenchers? Get it in their hands and ask for their feedback. And they said it takes an hour of use, and they're back with the feedback saying that this is a much more operator friendly machine to use.
I got a question for you.
Please.
And one of my customers was telling me that the Vermeer had some kind of a stop feature, that if it hit a major rock, is that true? That it doesn't just keep trying to muscle through it, it actually...
Well, any of the hydraulic powered machines have a bypass or relief circuit in them. So Toros are doing the same thing. Any Barrettos, ditch witches, anything that's hydraulically driven.
Doing the same?
Yep.
Okay.
Belt drive machines are operated differently. That's more of a solid link to it. But any of these, you can outwork a chain on a Toro or a ditch witch or a Vermeer, it doesn't matter. Okay. If you lug down hard enough, that chain will stop. Or if you're trenching along and you hit a root, the chain can stop. And then it's from there, what's your response as an operator? And again, the Toro is the easiest of the machines to use, because when you're back here, so I'm trenching, so I've got this squeezed in, so the chain is positive digging, and I hit something and that chain stops, all I have to do is just do this, it reverses the chain. Okay. And if it still doesn't go, if you're wedged on something hard enough that it doesn't go, then you just raise your boom. Or you can try to go forward, but raising your boom is the best on that. But you can feather back and forth, and if you've got you see some field stone laying around here, rock this big down in a trench, you can work it right out of there, feathering this back and forth a couple times. It's again, that's a feature of the hydraulics. They put bypass circuits in, so so you don't damage anything in that respect. The Vermeer unit, if you look on the left handlebar, it has a dead man switch. And that's one of the things that frustrated me the most when I was learning to run that machine, because you've got all kinds of controls up here. You've got multiple levers, and when your chain stops, you want to grab at the control to stop your chain. Well, you've just let go of the dead man and it kills the engine. Then you got to restart.
Yeah, I've literally seen people tape those up, the dead man.
Yep. Well,
I really have, too.
Yep, absolutely.
They'll tape them just for that very purpose.
And then OSHA walks on site, yeah. You're in trouble. Yeah. So, simple engineering for ease of operation and ease of service. And that's always been Toro's two main principles: ease of operation and ease of maintenance. And when you look at it and you run the machines, you see where that comes true.
Okay, John, tell me the benefits of this over a Beretta.
Over the Beretta, okay. Lower center of gravity.
Okay.
So you're more stable on hillside application. The Beretta, if you're looking at the tracked Beretta machine, their track is half again as long and a more aggressive track pattern and tread pattern on the track. So if you're on turf, you're doing much more damage with the Beretta trying to turn it because you have a more surface area on the ground.
Okay.
The other thing that you notice with the Beretta in the track unit, when you're standing behind the machine, their track comes all the way to the back of the machine. So your toes, as you're walking backwards, literally can be inches away from the track. And there's not a guard there or anything else. And then it's this control area right here. That's your hands down, it's a better control system.
That's patented, right? I mean, that's
Yep, this is absolutely, this is patented. The other thing, I guess I haven't talked about it at the other sections, you've got this plate back here on the back, and this is to keep you from getting pinched in against a tree or a fence or anything else. And it's just a simple mechanical plate, but if you're pulling back on this and you start to get pinched in, it forces this back. It's just a mechanical linkage that stops the traction.
Nice feature.
Yep,
Yeah, it is.
absolutely.
Nice feature.
And otherwise you can see it's very open. This back plate comes off and you can get at the pump and filter down below that are shielded right now inside the system. That's your parking brake. Again, very simple system out here. It just pinches a flap onto your track and that comes up.
Yeah, okay.
Not a real sophisticated system. Why put a lot of time and energy and right, doesn't need to be.
It's not going to go unless you're powered.
Right, exactly. And that's the other part is, you've got the dynamic braking through the hydrostat, so it's going to stop. When the engine's not running, it's not going to go anywhere. There's not enough mass in this machine to let it freewheel downhill. Now, some of the compact utility loaders, you want to set the parking brake if you're walking away from those on a steep hill, because there is enough mass there, it can creep the hydraulics. Yep. So okay, so just so we're clear on these: throttle, choke, hydraulic flow to your chain. So forward and reverse on that.
Return solution.
Yep. Yeah, spring loads, so it automatically goes back. That's your forward, reverse, and steering. Right through here, and that's just your raise and lower your boom.
Down, boom up.
And there is a safety.
A lock.
Yep, safety latch there, so it doesn't comes across. So if you're working on the boom,
Right.
or you've got it trailered or whatever else, you can't bump it and drop the boom,
Right.
because it'll settle with the engine off, and that'll settle down. So you just lift that, and it pivots back out of the way.
Cool.
So, you guys ready to operate, or do you have more questions?
Yeah, let's get it.
That's runner. That's runner.
All right, and the 26 right now has got a dead battery. I apologize, but Joe McGregor wasn't excited about us running it anyway, because if you look at it, that soil chain is plumb worn out. So he said it's not going to perform very well. Well, the battery's dead, so it doesn't matter. I'm trying to remember if I mentioned it or not. The trailer that's sitting over here, that trailer is just one part number. You can order that trailer, and it'll take any of the TRX, any of the 3 models of TRX, and it also fits the STX 26, which is the one that they're standing at. Joe McGregor's talking about it right now. That stump grinder or any of the TRX trenchers will drive right up onto that. The cradles are all set, that you set the boom down on that front little capstan that's there. Actually, that comes right up into it. You drive forward enough so it's up into this part of the boom, and then that bar that's on the back, when you drive up, that's spread apart. When you've got the traction unit up or the machine up on the trailer, you slide that bar back across right through these tie down loops. You're done. You don't need to strap on. you're ready to tow. So that trailer can be sitting with the TRX on the lot. They back up with a 2-inch ball, and they're off.
DOT guys say that's sufficient. That's good.
That's sufficient. Yep, absolutely.
Now, 4-foot boom with a crumbler is going to be real close to the end of that.
It sticks out most of the way. It's about out to where your jack stand is.
But it,
That's pretty long. Yep.
At least that.
there's one other accessory that we didn't talk about is the backfill.
The backfill blade.
Yeah.
Yep. It's
Yeah.
Thank you.
Get to that.
Yeah, I was getting there, but that's perfect.
That makes this so much easier to clean up when you're done trenching.
Right. Oh yeah.
And the backfill blade is a very low cost
Yeah.
option, but it can be added revenue on every rental.
Sure.
They can send it out, just like the trailer can be added revenue on each rental. And that just, the backfill blade, you raise your boom up just a little bit above horizontal, and there's a back piece, don't trip on that, back piece bracket that recesses back into a pocket here. The blade travel is at about a 40-degree angle underneath the chain, and then there's a tubular bracket or frame that comes up off of the blade and sticks right through here, and a plate and a pin on the back side, and you're on. So no tools needed. You have the backfill blade on, and with a little practice,
It's gotta be a popular option. No. I mean,
we don't sell as many as you'd think. Now, one of the reasons you don't is if it's a big contractor coming in to rent, they would rather rent a compact utility loader with a leveler and a bucket and get 2 machines running so the trencher just keeps trenching.
Or else he's got a Bobcat already on.
Yep, exactly. So, and then when you had asked about comparing the Berettos, the other thing is width on the machines. The smaller units on our competitors are going to be in that 33-inch width. All 3 of our dedicated trenchers are 33.8 inches wide, so under 34 inches wide, so they'll go through any 36-inch gate. You get into the higher horsepowers of the competitors, they get wider. They can't, even if they say they're 35 inches wide, try to get any of those through a 36-inch gate. It's pretty tough. So, all right. Who wants to run them first? And we can get both the Vermeer and this one running. Actually, what I should do is make you everyone run the Vermeer first, and then they come over here, and that's. All right, sit down in there. There it goes. That, and we're not. Don't worry about that down there. Not going to go anywhere. All right. You want to go first?
Yeah.
And actually, we can work this way. It'll be good, and we'll kind of work away from the other trenches.
Okay.
But ignition, choke, throttle, and it's warm enough. You probably. Yep. Go ahead and give it. There it goes. Yep. Go ahead, and that's throttle. There it goes.
Run it all the way to the stop.
Yep. You're going to want to run full throttle. And what you're going to do is while you're trenching, you're going to listen to your engine RPMs and just ease up on your traction if it starts to lug down. Yep, just to compensate as it's working. So then this raises and lowers it. Yep. You're good anywhere you want it. Go ahead, you can start trenching anytime you want.
We'll go up there.
Go ahead. All right. There you go. Then you bring that up and then squeeze it over. Now you're going. Okay, there you go. Now you're gonna you want to release a. That's fine. You're okay. You're gonna release a couple fingers here and bring them out, or you can do it with your right hand. Either way, there you go. Find out you can do it with your left hand. And now the crummer fell in, so you can go deeper if you want. Keep going deeper if you. There you go. Now just go backwards. You don't need to raise up. When the front of the machine comes up like that, now just track backwards, and it'll settle the machine right down into the trench. There you go.
There you go.